March the 8th is International Women's Day, and in the run-up to that day, we'll be looking at a number of areas concerning women, particularly when it comes to equality. Now, this year's theme for the International Day is I Am Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Rights, hashtag Each for Equal, recognizing all of the actions we can take as individuals to challenge stereotypes, fight prejudice, and celebrate women's achievements. Well, today we speak to the founder of Black Women in Science, Ndoni Mcunu, to talk to us a little bit about the struggle for equality for women in the sciences. Ndoni, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so the theme last year was Think Equal, Build Smart, Innovate for Change. I want to start there because it gives us an opportunity to see perhaps what's happened over the year and whether these themes actually help us to ignite action. So innovation is a big thing, big word, especially in a 4IR environment. And I wonder, have we fully understood what innovation is in Africa, particularly in science, and also the role that women can play there?
I think, Peter, the biggest challenge that we have firstly is understanding what is 4IR in an African context. And then once you understand that, then we interpret innovation according to what we believe is suitable for our country. So do Africans actually understand innovation? I think they do. Is it the way in which it's done internationally? No, it's not, because we have different challenges that we face in our own continents. So we do understand it, but it does not mean that we need more methods on how we can scale it up and how we can improve this kind of innovation in Africa.
All right, so the role of women in innovation and changes, particularly when we talk about this tech space and science space. What's been holding back women, and what role could they have played, do you think, more in the past year in particular?
I think the biggest challenge that we have as women would be the skills that we have and the capacity that we have in these positions, and also having the confidence, and most importantly, how society can have confidence in what women have to say. So even if you are in these positions where you're speaking about innovation and technology, how much power or how much volume does your voice have in these kind of platforms? So it's a challenge of skill and capacity, and it's a challenge of making sure that with every single position that is being hired by a male, that there's a female to accompany that, to make these boardrooms more diversified and these conversations around 4IR more diversified.
How can we equip women more to sit at the table and contribute?
So there is a high lack of skill in terms of coding, in terms of technology and business and entrepreneurship amongst women. If you look into the sectors that we have, there's less representation in professorship positions in the sciences, most importantly in business sectors, in engineering sectors. And there needs to be an equipment in terms of giving women more access and understanding the dynamic of saying, I'm giving you access into an engineering degree. Does it mean that I can attend class the same way? Maybe it doesn't. Does it mean that I have a shorter span in the classroom? It maybe does mean that. But we need to play around with these models and understand what does it mean for a woman to be in the class versus a male? And most importantly, a woman that is more mature versus a woman that is in their teens or in their 20s. How do we change those models to accommodate other demands that they face during their lives?
Some progress is being made. I mean, you know, we're in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, and it's refreshing to see, and it's taken a long time, but the regional director of the WHO in Africa is a woman for the first time. She was appointed 2015. And then we were watching the press briefing, the representative from the NCID, again a woman. So I mean, I don't know, watching from television, it looks as if it's changing.
Definitely. Watching that insert for me was very interesting in that she actually pointed out that women and children are not vulnerable yet. There has not been a detection of that, but it's more detected in the elderly and the young children. And that's very important because in the midst of these demographics, women are most vulnerable, be it in your agricultural sector, be it in your health sector. They are most vulnerable because they are not equipped to empower themselves. So having that statement being said, especially by a woman, in the face of that, makes me as a woman myself identify myself with this virus and understand, and actually want to understand more what it means for me as a woman and what the toll of it will take on me.
All right, so a little bit later on this month, it's going to be Equality Week as well. Pay is usually a big thing, and I wonder, in the science world, is there still a disparity between what women are getting paid to men?
Personally, Peter, when it comes to the science world, I think there's just a problem of pay in general in terms of the research career and the way in which you grow in the research career. If you look at how much funding is being given to postgraduate students, it's not enough. And our minister is very aware of that, Minister Bedzamandi, of the issues that we have in terms of funding. So aside from putting gender into it, as an industry, there needs to be more funding put into it. And more importantly, as black people, there needs to be more funding put into it because of the dynamics of home and our upbringing and our history into these stories. So when it comes to women and the amount of pay that we have within these salaries, we can't measure it yet because there's just not enough of us already in these sectors. Be it black, be it African, there's just not enough. So there still needs to be a conversation of how do we actually improve this pay generally in the sciences, and then talk about how do we empower women into these kind of positions.
All right, and Ndoni, always a pleasure talking to you. And we always run out of time, sadly, but thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us as we approach International Women's Day.
Thank you so much, Peter.
All right, okay, so there you have it. So still a struggle in the world of sciences for women, but they're starting to break through, but more needs to happen, much more.